Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Your video is about to start on all things Social Security. Just a quick reminder, we are here every day, 9 a.m. with some sort of tip or tidbit for you. And we are here generally on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for live stream, live Q&As on everything Social Security. So feel free to pop in a timely fashion, and I will answer your questions there too. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Okay, this is a response to a question about the nuances of the trial work period. And I think it has to do with what is that scrolling 5-year window they talk about, a 60-month window. So let's get to it. The person that was asking this question asked it this way. If an SSDI recipient did a 5-month trial work period over a 10-year period, over 10 years ago, stopped working and remained on disability, and then recently started another trial work period, are those 5 months of the past trial work period included in the recent trial work period? And the answer is no. Thankfully, that's where that 5-year rolling scrolling window comes in. So all of the months that are going to be included in the 9 that are counted for your trial work period have to be within, assume this is 60 months right here. So they all have to fit within 60 months, whether they're over here. If one is way over here and the other 8 are in here, you don't have 9 because all 9 do not fit in that window. So when we say scrolling, that's because you could have let's say you worked 7 years ago, 5 trial work period months. And then 4 years ago, worked another 5. Would the full 10 count? No, only the most current 5, because they are the only ones in the current 5-year period. And there's never, as long as 9 months never get connected within this time frame, whichever ones they are, if that doesn't happen, you've never used up your trial work period. And they don't count if they're not in the current 5-year period, and they're never going to again because they're getting further and further remote. So in this case, for this person, those of 10 years ago are all irrelevant for this purpose. And nowadays, they're not even in the relevant work period to be looking at the duties that were performed. So that's all good. All right, I hope that answered the question about that issue with the 5-year scrolling window. When I say 5 years, again, it's not 5 calendar years, it's 60 months. So if it's in April, you're going to go back to the same time period 5 years ago, April of, not calendar years. All righty, I'll chat with you guys later. Have a good one. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Good evening. Okay, this is a little bit of a warning about the trial work period. I'm getting the distinct impression from people that they think they don't have to worry about it when they're working part-time until after they've certainly won their case and they have a decision in hand. Not true. The TWWP period can retroactively be figured out and will be. It can be, it's at any month after you applied, and after, once you've won, they later have decided when you were disabled back to the later of those 2 dates. Sometimes the application date is the latest date. Sometimes the date you allege and won your date of disability, what became the determined onset date, sometimes that is later in time. Depends on what the SSA determines your medical evidence proved you were disabled. So you're always going to know your application date, but you're not necessarily going to know your onset date. You've urged an onset date, you might not prevail on that date. But if you are working part-time and you are making more than the TWWP amount, TWWP is less than SGA, okay? TWWP for 2023 is $1,050. In 2022, it was $970. SGA, on the other hand, which we're not talking about, is $1,470 for 2023 and was $1,350 in 2022. We're not talking about SGA. It all ties in together for other considerations after you've won that you should be aware of. But right now we're talking about TWP. So let's say you filed in June of 2022, claiming that you were disabled 6 months earlier in January of 2022. You file 6 months later, January of 2023, the SSA agrees that indeed you were disabled in January of 2022. In that case, your application date is the latest date because June is after January of 2022. So at any time, as of the time you applied, June of 22, that you earn more than TWP, so 2022, that would have been the 970, that would be your first TWP month. That means your TWP period has now started. If you didn't do TWP until October, then that would be your first TWP month, and that's when your period starts. So you would have used up, let's say you did work in, July and forward, you would have used up July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months of TWP. You've got only 3 left. And as you might know, you have up to 9, and they do not have to be consecutive. So if you skipped a few months, then worked a TWP month, then skipped a few, the 9 months can catch up to you that way. Stopping it does not stop the period and start you all over. It's the 9 month within a scrolling 5-year period. So the effects of losing your TWP period, of it expiring because you hit the 9 months. And by the way, that's very easy to do if you're working part-time, making over TWP, being very careful not to go over SGA. If you're doing that consistently and you do that for the whole pendency of the claim and you don't win a quick 6 months later, like most people don't, you might have very well have used up your TWP before you even win your case. And then you're in your EPE, extended period of eligibility, the first 36 months of which would be your re-entitlement period. And there are losses to be had. And that is when SGA becomes important once you've used up your TWP. So remember, if you have a pending case, if you have applied and you're working part-time, you must pay attention to your earnings each month. And it's not that it's terrible to go over TWP, but you need to know that you're going over it because it's going to change things later. And essentially, it can change them in a way that if you don't always stay under SGA, you will probably end up losing not only some of your benefits, but getting off disability altogether, because eventually just 1 month of SGA, once you're out of your TWP period, will render you no longer eligible for disability. So know your TWP period, count those months while you're still hoping to win, even though I know that's the last thing you want to do. You're just trying to get to the finish line, but those things are going to come and bite you. So pay attention to it, okay? We'll have more on that. I have another, I'm connecting this to the article that I put together just because this was becoming a real question for a lot of people who were unaware and they're finding themselves in a jam. So I'm going to put this video here, there, and I'm going to link that article. It's very short. It just gives you some of the citations that I'm talking about to the actual references. So you don't take my word for it. And we'll try to connect all these things together. But you're going to want to look at the video on extended period of eligibility too, and what that means when your TWP is over. Okay. All righty. Have a great night. See you soon. Thank you for joining and taking a listen to this video. If you have any questions that relate to this or anything else with regard to Social Security, disability, retirement, SSI, etc., please do feel free to post it in the comments below, even if it's not necessarily related to this video, and I will see them. And if it's something I can do a video on, I will be happy to do that. If you are looking for representation in a current battle to prove that you are disabled, whether you have applied yet or not, and ideally, if you have not applied yet, that's when we like to come in and start from the beginning and do our wonders. You can go to joydisability.com, look up to your left, and there's a little link for a free SSD evaluation, and we will take a look at it and let you know one way or the other. If you are looking for a consultation, not representation, or you can't get representation for whatever reason, or it's a non-representational type of issue you need to review, you are more than welcome to order a prepaid consultation. It will be with me personally, And that link is on that same page, joydisability.com, but over on the upper right. Anyway, thanks for staying tuned, and I hope to see you every day, 9 a.m. with our little video shares or live Q&A if you want to join me live on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.